Rosanna Lockwood talks to Lauren Chen and also Eliza Rose Watson. Now, OnlyFans model Eliza Rose Watson has paid for a large billboard to go up. And I'm sure by extension she's probably made a few other things go up as well. Certainly she's raised the profile, hasn't she? Her role is, of course, self-promotion, isn't it? And she's got a viable brand, her physical appearance. And she intends to exploit it to the max to make a fair amount of money. And I can't begrudge Eliza making a bit on the side. Well, I can't, can I? She's got free will, hasn't she? And she can come up with whatever she wants to make money within the confines of the law. When you think about it from a feminist point of view though, an ideology, they should be happy with Eliza. After all, she's a very articulate, empowered and intelligent woman. But no, the feminist types want to cramp the staff. I just need to make the point that Lauren Chen, as far as I'm aware, she's not a feminist. I was just making a general point about feminists in this video. Let's have a look at the interview there on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Welcome back. Now it is August and some people are very upset about billboards. Apparently this is something that happens in August. OnlyFans model Eliza Rose Watson paid for these giant posters advertising her X-rated subscription content for several sites across London and New York. They've sparked a flurry of complaints to the UK's advertising watchdog, which today ruled these billboards were not, quote, overtly sexual and therefore quite all right to have up.
The UK's advertising watchdog ruled these billboards are not overtly sexual. That's like saying there's no alcohol in rum punch.
But furious campaigners want them banned, arguing that they are normalising obscenity. So do they have a point? For more on this, I'm joined by the OnlyFans model at the centre of the row, Eliza Rose Watson, and the political commentator Lauren Chen. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us. Eliza, first of all, you must be relieved, obviously, that the billboards are staying up. And what do you make of the arguments that this is inappropriate and obscene?
Well, firstly, you know, I am encouraged and pleased that the ASA have ruled what they've ruled. I think, in general, what I make of the argument is, you know, it's understandable in a sense that if someone doing something new, there's a lot of misconception about what OnlyFans is and what OnlyFans isn't. But OnlyFans is now a household name. It's no good denying it or pushing it under the carpet. That's what's going to do damage. You know, we need to face it. We need to talk about it. We need to not really focus as much on whether it's right or wrong, whether people should be doing it or shouldn't be doing it. The fact is, they are doing it. It's here to stay. We should be focusing on how we approach it. Is turning a blind eye to it realistic, let alone helpful? Is banning it and shaming it just an old, outdated, archaic approach which has never really worked for any societal issue? I think that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, interesting. The argument does come up a lot about sex work, and OnlyFans is somewhat in the remit of that. For anyone who's not aware, I feel like everyone in the world is aware of what OnlyFans is, but it's when people pay content creators for pretty sexy pictures, sexual pictures, and they can be to the very pornographic end or to the lighter end as well. We've just shown you some pictures there that were softened for our evening audience.
What's nice about Eliza is the demeanour and the way she calmly explains her point of view. And 2 points in particular stand out. One, she mentions people are doing it. And 2, it's here to stay. So obviously, even if sites such as the one she's affiliated with goes down, another one will soon pop up to take its place. In other words, if there's a gap, another site will fill it. Eliza does make valid points here, doesn't she? We need to face it, she says. She's a businesswoman, isn't she? And obviously in her mind, she sees this as an avenue to her success. She's chosen to be objectified as a way to make money in a free market economy. Now let's listen to some more of the video.
Lauren Chen joins us now as well. Lauren, do you buy that argument that we should be more accepting of this type of work in society? Otherwise, if we clamp down on it, then it will be worse for a lot of women.
Well, I think we are plenty accepting already as a society. People are perfectly able to start OnlyFans accounts, and not only that, but become very financially successful for a slim minority. I think that includes Eliza. The question we were talking about here is it appropriate, is it okay to advertise pornography in places where children can see it? You mentioned that some of these billboards are right next to a school. And in my opinion, the answer is clearly no. And I have to say, Eliza, regardless of what the overall watchdog ruling is, that doesn't mean that you as a business owner, as the person who is sponsoring these billboards, needs to keep them up, especially the ones that I think are under the most controversy, which are the ones near the school. You are able to take them down. There are other ways you can advertise for your OnlyFans account, including, I would say, appearing on this show, that don't expose children to this, to the concept of pornography, young girls, the idea of selling their bodies, young boys, the idea that women are commodities. There are other ways to go about this, even if you insist on having an OnlyFans account. That would draw a lot less fire from parents, especially.
Lauren Chen makes good points, questioning whether it's appropriate because of its proximity to a school. Lauren says, in my opinion, the answer is clearly no. She doesn't agree with the polls to be enough. She's actually coming from a Christian conservative perspective, hence why she has these views. Like many, she has a version of Christianity built on her own suppositions. In life, you've got to remember though, that you do ultimately choose to sell your skills and talents in different ways to make money so you can make a living for you and your family. Eliza's just chosen this way to make her money. Because obviously, as I say, you need money to pay your bills, don't you? Lauren herself is clearly using her looks to get further in life, as well as sometimes rhetoric that many people find offensive, all done to generate revenue for her brand. Plus, Lauren actually advertises video games on her channel. She allows them to be advertised on her channel. No doubt she makes money from such advertising. And the video games that are advertised could be addictive, couldn't they? But is she concerned about the youngsters who get addicted to the video games she advertises? Anyway, let's have a look at some more videos.
So give Eliza a chance to respond to that, but also, according to the information I've got, the billboards, one of which is located around 450 metres from a school, which is a fair distance. And the Advertising Standards Agency did come back and said, look, these billboards are all around New York and London. Children walk around those cities all the time. They're going to see them anyway. Whether or not the ruling is correct or not, I mean, people have different opinions on that. But Eliza, I mean, your chance to respond there. Are you advertising pornography widely? Is it necessary to do that? That's what Lauren's saying.
I think my intention behind the ads was to do exactly this, to start a discussion. That's what my intention was, and I think that's been achieved. I will point out I'm not the first person to put an OnlyFans logo on an advert. There are boxers and Formula One drivers that have the OnlyFans logo in exactly the same way on their helmets, on their shorts, on their clothing. I think the issue here is people are putting two and two together with a woman in the logo. I will also say the only overt reference to pornography on my ad was the graffiti on it, and this is what sparked the press I got and ultimately all the attention this has received. The ad was very clearly designed for adults. I'm a 34-year-old woman. All my social media audience is between the ages of 25 and 35 and 98.8% male. I will also point out that in the same vicinity, there were alcohol ads on bus stops, presumably where these children would sit and wait for a bus home from school. The only difference is that conversations have been had around alcohol. That's the difference, and this is what I'm starting to do here. The other thing is, just because there's an ad with a bottle of beer on it, it doesn't mean a child or a minor could walk straight into an off license and buy a beer. They'd have to provide ID. And what people don't understand about OnlyFans is the same applies there. It's actually even harder. Even as a creator, when I buy a new mobile phone, I have to physically call up my network provider, provide ID and a credit card in order to even access the platform, and that's even without subscribing.
Eliza claims she wants to start a discussion. She says she's not the first person to put OnlyFans logo on adverts, and that's a good point, Eliza. She's not the first person to put OnlyFans logos on adverts, but she says it's because it's a woman involved in the adverts. That's what she says there. She also mentions that it's the only overt reference to pornography on her ad was the graffiti on it, indicating some fool defaced her advert. She says the advert was designed for adults. She mentions her fan base that says the age is between 25 and 35, and she mentions that it's the 98.8% male. So she knows the demographic of the people who are viewing her material. She's definitely a shrewd businesswoman who clearly examines the figures, and she knows what she's doing. She's in control, isn't she?
I think those are all really good points to raise, you know, the alcohol one as well. Lauren's point about the money aspect of this and the attention you've received, you said your intention behind it was to raise this debate. Of course, that has created more marketing for you, and you're going to receive likely more customers and more money from this. Was that part of it as well?
Not really. I didn't expect any real increase in revenue from the billboards. As you might know, we already advertise, we advertise online. I think as well, like, the point around it was, again, to just raise a discussion. And I'd also like to add at this point, the ads do not glorify or glamorize the use of OnlyFans in any way. And I will make this point about the money. The money can be really good for a small minority, as was mentioned. However, there are great sacrifices to be made for people who do OnlyFans. You post a sexy picture on even Instagram, it's there for your whole life, and it's a very short-lived career.
She mentioned posting pictures on Instagram, and she said it's there for life, your whole life. She's clearly very clever. She recognises a short-lived career that she has. A short-lived career with long-term effects. And of course, Eliza is correct about that one. We need to talk about the effects, don't we, for the future of these pictures on the net for the rest of your life. So it's really a good point that she raises there.
So these are the kind of things that I think we need to be talking about.
Lauren, sorry, Eliza, we're just running short of time. I just want to ask Lauren, final words, whether you're convinced by any of this.
Well, I think it's somewhat silly to say that the billboards weren't done, at least in part, for increased revenue. That's the point of billboards and advertising. And I appreciate that Eliza does bring out the fact that there are downsides to OnlyFans. But the thing is, that's not what's mentioned on this billboard. On this billboard, there's simply her provocative pose, a link to her social media and OnlyFans accounts. And obviously, children should have their social media usage monitored by parents. But at the same time, I don't think it's too much to ask for people who make pornography like Eliza to not directly market to children, which is in part what she is doing. There are other ways she could advertise where you wouldn't have this fur, where they wouldn't be exposed to children, but she is, I think, specifically trying to normalize and mainstream. She even said OnlyFans, which is not a good thing. This is not a positive for society, for men or for women.
Lauren is correct, of course, to say the claim that it wasn't done for money is silly. She's absolutely correct in that one, as that's literally the point of billboards, to generate revenue. She mentions the downside isn't mentioned on the posters. Well, that's a silly thing to say as well. Why would an advert mention the negative traits of the thing being advertised? It just doesn't make sense. So it is a silly thing for Lauren to say, isn't it? Now let's get back to the video.
It's interesting.
Oh, go on quickly, Eliza.
Because statistically, teenagers are way more likely to be exposed to sexual imagery on places like Facebook than they are OnlyFans.
Eliza makes a good point about Facebook, doesn't she? Makes a good point about Facebook and the exposure young ones have to adult content on there. Times have changed across social media platforms. Children are being exposed to adult content. Think about it. A child goes to a dodgy website, and before you know it, they can go straight in. You're 18, click yes. That's sadly the world we're living today. I wish it wasn't, but as Eliza is bringing out to the fore, really, that's the world we're living in today. Whether we want to think about it or not, that is the world we're living in today. And of course, that's the point Eliza's making. While many people do see billboards as bang out of order, it's nothing compared to what children are seeing anyway.
I obviously would never purposely have put this ad next to a school. However, I think it's
So
actually
you
quite
can take it down. You can take it down at any point. You're the one paying for it. It doesn't need to be there. Regardless of what the
It came
agency
down.
says, you have the ability to take it down.
While Eliza's speaking, Lauren very rudely interrupts, not giving Eliza a chance to finish what she's saying. So you can take it down, that's what she says. Eliza answers the child.
You need to take it down.
I did 6 days after the complaints. It came down. So
Does Lauren apologise for a rude interruption? Let's see.
it came down. So
So you agree with, I guess, the complaints in that case?
not particularly, no. I agree with the fact I would not like to be directly marketing at children. However,
No, Lauren doesn't apologise for a rude interruption. She just goes on the attack again. Had she listened, she would have received the pertinent information. Lauren comes across as quite supercilious, in my opinion. She seems to have a contempt for Eliza, or maybe it's just Eliza's chosen path in life. She seems to, I think, feel that people, well, women, young women, all should be the same as she is, have the same opinions that she has. That's the impression I'm getting, because Eliza's got her way of thinking, and of course, Lauren has her way of thinking as well, and Lauren seems to want to impose her way of thinking on others, in the sense that she wants to project her ideas, and she wants you to conform to her way of viewing the world.
however, it's naive. What I was going to say is it's naive to assume that a teenager with a mobile phone would not have seen imagery like this before, and this I find concerning. The fact that people don't know that or just don't want to accept it. The point of the ads, and I think they've achieved the point, is to start this discussion and maybe
Eliza
raise awareness
and
amongst
Lauren,
adults.
we are fresh out of time. We have had that discussion. We appreciate both your points of view.
Anyway, that's the end of the video, and I enjoyed that discussion. It was really a nice discussion to listen to. On a positive note, Eliza is in control of her career, isn't she? In the distant past, women who chose this kind of career path were exploited by men. Most of the money made went more likely to men behind the scenes. Women would benefit little financially in comparison. Not just women though, is it? Look at the example of Elvis Presley, exploited by his handler, who made millions really from Elvis's talent and hard work. Girl group TLC, I think they were in the 90s, they were conned, weren't they? They made some of the greatest R&B hip-hop tracks of all time. There was a stage in the early career where they were ripped off from a financial standpoint. In effect, exploited. They even made the point themselves in one of their acceptance speeches. These days, if you have a talent and people want to pay for it, for example, if you're a good singer, you can bypass record companies altogether and keep the profits for yourself. How? Well, you can go on and sign up to an online platform now for a small fee, and you can make your music and stream it worldwide. But of course, you do have to put the hard work, and you have to promote it, because of course, if you don't promote it, people are not going to know about it, and if people don't know about it, they're not going to buy it. Plus, obviously, you have to be good as well. You have to have a talent. As I say, if you've got a talent, you can make money and keep most of the profits these days. Whereas in the past, it wasn't the case. Yes, it's 2023, and in the case of Eliza, she's been handsomely rewarded for her efforts. I'm not sure if she can sing, but she certainly is talented. You may not agree with what she does, but she's successful at it. And yes, like I said, you might not agree with her, but she's successful, and of course it's not, you can't begrudge her the success she's receiving in her chosen field. Of course, there's always going to be exploitation. You're never going to get rid of exploitation altogether. It's not possible. There's always going to have people exploiting each other. And things are always going to go wrong for people. You're never going to have everybody being treated fairly in the world where there's nobody suffering or any difficulties. There's always going to be difficulties. Points I'm making really are applying to this specific case and Eliza's chosen profession. When I was at school, a long time ago now, I remember going to local news agents and they used to have what we call the top shelf magazines. Put on the top shelf so children couldn't get anywhere near them. In fact, I don't think we really wanted to get near them, but we didn't get anywhere near them as children, these types of magazines. Sadly, children today can see 100 times worse by simply clicking on a screen. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. Perhaps more parental involvement. But even then, how do you stop a curious mind? Only so much you can do. You can't follow your adolescent children around 24/7, can you? It's a difficult one. Is it fair to blame Eliza and her poster? After all, she's just a squirrel trying to get a nut, isn't she? Don't forget though, you can help me out and grow this channel by subscribing, of course, and getting your friends and family to subscribe too. Also, you can help by donating as little as $2 a month via Patreon. It's not much, is it? Just $2 a month via Patreon. Or a one-off PayPal payment. Now, the links for those, if you want to help, those links are in the description for this video. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next one.